We're live again.
We're back.
We're live again.
Same day, baby. I think the song is appropriate. A little lead-in music.
Everybody's working for the weekend. It's the best I can do.
Name the group.
Oh, no chance. The Cars? I got no idea.
Loverboy. Come on, man.
Loverboy. Yeah, sure. I was going to pull that out of the 8,000 bands that were happening in the 80s.
So we'll give people a chance to catch on if they show up today. You know, I don't normally do it live at 4.
No, but you know what? It's a Tell Me Something Good. It's Friday, and the best thing that's happening is that it's Father's Day on Sunday.
It is Father's Day. So
that
I
is
get
the
to
best thing.
experience that with you. I get to experience it with Jake, experience it with my dad. You get to experience it with Kai. And there's nothing like it, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, baby. All right. So that's the music. Let me, lots of new people that'll show up. Way to go, Eddie Mack, showing up at 4 o'clock. So the normal format for this is every day at 4 o'clock, I do something called Tell Me Something Good. And I invite friends, business people, colleagues, athletes, celebrities, whoever, to come on and say, hey, what's good? Tell me something good that's different than all of the bullshit that people are talking about. And there's some bullshit going on. You know, I don't want to, underplay, the race relations and all that kind of stuff. I know that it is crazy, but we got to focus on the good stuff. So every day at 4, I do that. And today I'm going live. And today I have young Noodleberg in the house, president of On the Ball Ventures. We're doing it live. We just said, what the hell, instead of throwing it on video and then putting it up. We're here. We're live. And Mark Noodleberg, you're in your 80th day as president. Tell me something good.
There's so much good to tell you. The Noodleberg Daily Huddle is absolutely exploded and has been just an unbelievable community builder. Shout out to Mike Wolfson, who is here with us. I love Mike to death. Mike saw me speak to the Boca Chamber. I think that was earlier this week, maybe. Was that this week?
Yeah.
Wow. It's been a heck of a week.
Nutty out there.
But so that's unbelievable. It's just the conversations you and I are having about business and about strategy, the people that I'm meeting and I'm bringing into my world or sharing my world with them is just unbelievable, growing exponentially every single day. Feedback is incredible. We've got some great opportunities in front of us with the company and some major growth happening. So,
let me ask you this.
Written a better.
Let me ask you, if you didn't know that there was a pandemic going on, would you know that there's a pandemic going on?
No chance. And I honestly, I think for me, knowing how we started April 1st and what was happening and where we are coming up, mid-June to July 1st is absolutely unbelievable to me. And I'm very appreciative. I have an attitude of gratitude every single day. And I'm loving the work that we're doing. And I'm just really happy. Happy.
As you should be. I mean, it's been a really neat thing for me to watch, knowing that obviously you grew up in my house, right? And taking your talents to football, I never thought that, number one, we would ever have the chance to do this. And number two, you'd be really, really good at it, which you are. People are reacting to you in a way that I think you feel is genuine and authentic. And, you're getting through, your message is getting out there. So give me some observations about what you're hearing from people, all the different groups. What's the hot sales topic? What's the question of the day? What are people yearning to know?
So I think everybody wants to know how to leverage digital, and that's kind of a broad term, but it's involved in every single conversation that I'm having is, what do I do? How do I do it? Why do I do it? What's happening now? I had an unbelievable DMGB conversation with a friend of mine who is a digital storyteller, and I don't want to give it away who it is because I want to drop it next week. But we had an unbelievable conversation about how to communicate on different platforms. I've made the decision I'm going to get on TikTok because we, in our conversation, had an unbelievable strategy session about how I can communicate what I do and what we do on TikTok. And that's really what it's about, is that the fundamental of everything is you got to constantly be growing. LinkedIn is great, and I'm using it, and I've been using it for a year, and it's a great tool, but it's not going to end there for me. I'm going to keep adding layers, and I'm going to keep adding distribution channels, and I'm having dialogues with people about how do we take the huddle and move that even more? What else can we do with it? How do we grow it? How do we reach more people with it? Because at the end of the day, I'm so on fire about what we're doing and how we're helping people and the way people are receiving it. I got to figure out a way to grow it. It's got to grow.
So first of all, I'd love to see you try and figure out a way to come out of your shell a little bit. You feel a little shy, it's, so someone who, has been in the sales world for less than 2 years, I know the answer to this, but what was the barrier to entry to doing all of the things that you're doing on digital?
None. Zero. There's no barrier to entry.
Did you have to spend a lot of money?
No. Spend no money.
Spend a lot of time.
No, there's no barrier to entry, but what the cost is the cost is time, right? Time and focus, because you can't just half-ass it. If you're going to do it and do it right, it needs to be very intentional, and it needs to have value, and it needs to be genuine, and you have to work at it. It is just like everything else that you do in life. The more you're doing it, the more you can find a rhythm, the better off you're going to be at it, and the more that you're going to get a return from it. So,
so the reason why we don't necessarily do live is because
I'm frozen, I think, or you're frozen. I think I'm frozen. I don't know. Do we have a technical difficulty here? I don't know what's happening. I think I'm actually live. I'm watching it. Let's start this thing over.
Mm.
And we're
All
back.
right.
We're
I
back.
think
We are still live. I'm telling you, we're still live because people were in it just now. I went and looked.
we got hit by lightning, I think, because all the Wi-Fi here went out. So leave it to us to go live on a Friday afternoon and get hit by lightning.
I love it. I love it.
So we were in a good conversation, so let's keep the wheels going. Hello to my friend Sam Pollock, my friend from way back, my freshman year in college. Sam, this is a show you need to do. Mark, keep up the flow.
Okay, so I think where we were, I don't really remember. I've
we
lost
doing tequila yet, or was that?
I
We
don't
were
know.
talking about something good. So, I asked you. I go, what was the barrier to to doing what you're doing? Really, it's just like everything else. It's mindset, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, and you have to get good at it. You have to keep doing it. You have to find your groove. In the conversation I was having today with somebody, we were talking about, look, you don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to be good on video and good at writing, long form copy. You don't have to love putting yourself out on pictures, but you have to figure out what you are good at, because you have to find something that you're good at that you can do. So I think that's really the takeaway is.
So I use this in the afternoon, and we've done 65 or 70 shows. We'll share the library, because the library is really spectacular, of all the people that have been on there and all the pearls of wisdom that they all share. And, we sort of keep it, in the, what's good. So one of the questions I ask people is, like, what new habit have you started because of COVID? Or maybe you didn't do any?
No, I would say, cooking consistently. That has been the best thing, is that, grocery shopping for the week and cooking every single meal except for like one. I had gotten to a point where I was eating out almost every night of the week prior to COVID. And then this has forced us inside. So cooking, I think, eating quality foods that we're cooking, that are coming from the fresh produce section, has changed the way I feel, now being back into a regimented workout routine. My mind feels like it's clicking on a 1,000, RPMs per minute, or 10,000 RPMs per minute, because I just feel like I'm moving in a different gear.
Which is probably true. I think, one of the things that we were fortunate both to watch the Simon Sinek interview yesterday, and I think he's one of the greatest orators of our time. I think he is so dialed in on his content and stuff. One of the things he said that I really dug, say hello to Barry Gottlieb. One of the things I really dug was his idea about pace. The pace is different. For me to think that in the middle of the day, I would stop and go for a bike ride or walk to the beach was unheard of. No, right. I wasn't one of those guys who would go to the gym and shower. I just didn't want to get out of my flow. And now the pace of what I'm doing is so much better, so unique, that you really make your own time. I'm a lot more productive than I've ever been with just really managing my clock.
Yep. I agree. I think preparation is always key, but the amount of prep that I can do for things now is so much better because of no drive time. And, there's that extra found time that we've had. So preparation has been great too.
For me, I am devouring information at like a sick rate, I'm almost a machine in terms of all of the inputs that I've created for myself. And those that follow us in the huddle, I've talked about, I have a list of things that come in every morning that are really more like my armor. They're
right.
Some current events, but I kind of steer away from those headlines. I look for the feel-good stories. I look for the, the educational stuff. It's never, ever been a better time to learn. And I think the greatest gift of the internet and the greatest gift of social media is the amount you can learn from people, about people. And certainly you've mastered that. So maybe comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing has been the webinars. Like the fact that Inc. and an Entrepreneur and all of these websites are putting on unbelievable webinars almost daily. That access to Simon Sinek yesterday for an hour, you used to have to buy a ticket to some place that he would be speaking in order to get that. Or you'd have to, find a TED talk that he did. Like we got him for an hour yesterday talking live about what's happening right now and how to lead. So
and there weren't that many people on the webinar.
No,
he was answering questions. I mean, it was
almost intimate.
I took 2 pages of notes again. I mean, so it's pretty outstanding. Hello, Christina, coming to us from the West Coast. Thank you for everybody that has wished Mark and I a happy Father's Day this morning. Let's talk about the huddle this morning.
That was awesome. So I got to turn the table on you and really ask you some deep questions. And I think that's really another thing that has happened between us is that our dialogue has expanded unbelievably because of the way we're working together. But today I got to go deep. I got to ask you questions about what you wanted your legacy to be and ask you questions about, Poppy and all different kinds of things that I know were sensitive buttons to push, but it was awesome. It was authentic. It was genuine. And it was a great way to start Father's Day weekend.
Well, unbelievable for me. It inspired many other people who contacted me through the day. They said, I'm calling up my dad and I'm interviewing my dad right now. And so my takeaway, which is I'm glad that we get to share something good. My takeaway was, number one, thank you for doing that. It just brings us closer and the more answers. But I think to be really successful in life and certainly in business, you got to be able to ask the right questions. You broke through some stuff this morning that even if I was a stranger, if you had asked those broadly, like, hey, what's about this? Right. Tell me about this. That's how you really, really build sensational, deep relationships. And the key to any business, and I've been in many that were successful, many that were not successful, has always been getting rid of the, hey, I want to talk to you about my business. I want to talk to you about you.
Right.
I want to find out about you, who you are, what you do, what you stand for, why here. I mean, your question about ask the beer question or the liquor question, because that was
so if you could only drink beer, wine, or liquor for the rest of your life, which one would it be and what brand and why?
So when you think about it, that's an awesome question to pose to somebody. Because you really find out a lot about them. They could say, hey, listen, I don't drink. It's not my thing. Drink, cool, no problem, great. That's different. Or, somebody like me who drinks them all at the same time. It was a tough question, but for me, it was really cool because I gave you an answer that you didn't expect.
No, I would have won. I mean, but the story I got from it, so not only did you tell me that you wanted to drink Guinness, but why? I went to Dublin, I was there, I became a master pourer. Okay, now I have an unbelievable thing that I can either connect with you on because I own that, right? Or I have something that I can say, hey, it was great spending time with you last week when you told me your story about grabbing, beers. Why don't we go grab one ourselves and share more stories? That's a great follow-up to building relationship.
The origin of this show, which is rule number 12 in my book, is early on in my career. I just stopped asking people, how are you? Because how are you? You get shit on every time. Oh, man, my this is bad. My house, my car, everything is bad. People are programmed to go negative. And if you are willing to change your behavior and say, hey, Mark, tell me something good, most people, the first time they hear that, are stunned. They're like riveted to the floor. They don't know what to say. They're a deer in headlights.
Right.
But the minute they do tell you something, the one thing that they tell you is what they really feel good about. And if you make people feel good, they want you around more and more and more. And the story I share is somebody that is a client of ours, Bank United, and I was dealing with this girl, Darlene, and we did some role playing. And I said, hey, Darlene, tell me something good. And she was like, well, I don't know. You put me on the spot. And then she finally said, well, my son just finished his second year at MIT. This lady was glowing like a Christmas tree. She was lit up.
Right.
And all I had to do was say, wow, Darlene, that's fantastic. Tell me more. That was 6 years ago. And every time I see her to this day, all I got to do is ask her about her son. How's your son doing? Oh, my God. He graduated. Now he's doing his master's at Stanford, and he's this kind of biologist. Crazy.
So I want to ask you something, because the more companies that we work with, the more people that I meet, the more exposed to different organizations. I don't know any different than to relationship sell. I was raised in this environment. I've been taught by you my whole life, and it's just what I do. So I don't know any different, but it seems to be the opposite of most organizations for salespeople to either be taught or to even understand how and why they should build a relationship and how that's important. Where and why did that happen? Where and why? Did salespeople
really solid question. Really solid question. So here's the rub. You look at the world that we live in, and people suck at relationships. Divorce rate is really high. People have bad relationships in their family. I think one of the greatest things that's come out of COVID is that families are actually sitting down and having dinner again. They're putting away their phones, and they're really doing that. So I think fundamentally, there's never been a time that someone said, I'm going to teach you how to start, build, and maintain relationships.
Right.
So most of it is very transactional. Oh, I want to sell you my stuff and hope you buy it. And if you don't, I'll go to the next person, when the prize is supposedly that someone buys from you. And some of the greatest relationships I have never bought anything from me. They just turn out to be great people that, I have great time with. And, people, like you said to me this morning, which, obviously was humbling, but you go, everybody, Dad, everywhere I go, I carry the name Noodleberg. Well, that was my mission. My mission was to make everybody aware of who I was, because the more people are aware of me, the more those same people can buy from me or know somebody who can. It seemed very elementary to me. And, so all of the rules in my book are how to build a relationship, give to get. I'd walk in and say, hey, who can I introduce you to? What can I do for your business? Not to sell it to them, and maybe it's not the product or service that I have. So, I was one of those outliers early that just said, hey, man, I want to make friends with everybody, and I think that's the real takeaway. The real fun part is the people that you're doing business with are clearly your friends and will remain your friends long after the opportunity ends. Nothing's evergreen anymore. People are fickle. They change, advertising agencies, consultants, coaches, vendors, like that, drop of a dime. I don't even care, because I focused on the friend part. And listen, if a friend says to me, listen, we got to make a change, where it's stale, great. Do me a favor. Good. I don't have the pressure of doing that anymore. Let's just be friends. Let's just go have a beer after 5 o'clock. So, you bring up awesome points. And for me, it's so great to watch you grow into this and see the way people react to you. People are going, wow, man, he's really great. You did a great job. I'm not so sure I did a great job. I just, I think the job of a parent is to, show the way and hope you get to it.
Yeah. I mean, and that, so I've had that question asked to me, like how I was on Adam Posner's podcast, and Cool Kel asked me, I have a son who's like spitting the bit at everything I'm trying to feed him right now. And I'm trying to give him, the foundations of success. And I was like, my dad never sat me down and said, hey, here's the foundations of success. Do it. I was like, it's by osmosis. Do it.
If you remember correctly, there's one saying that stands out in my mind. One time that I said, dude, I'm going to make this very clear. You're in my life. I'm not in yours.
Right.
You should be taking advantage of everything that you're learning, everything that is around you, all of the people skills, and I'm fortunate. I grew up in retail. Retail, you have no choice. You get thrown out on the floor, boom, you got to build a relationship in less than 30 seconds. I think some of the way people are trained now, they don't go to that. They go right to features and benefits. And, they're just, I think one of the reasons why the huddle has become so popular is because it's so real and so genuine. And it's just
Right.
you and I shooting the shit over topics that matter, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
we do our prep work. It's not like we just show up.
Yeah, we don't just show up. Yeah,
Right.
correct.
So, but we're talking about things that we would be talking about anyway. Hey, listen, where are we? What are we doing? How are we doing it? Where can we get better? Things that, listen, we're in a game that they keep score and I want to win. That doesn't,
100%.
I don't think there's something wrong with that. Did you like losing as a coach?
No. And I think that was the other thing from Simon Sinek the other day that really helped me. Like I use it all the time, the comparisons to business, to sports. But the real glaring difference is the fact that in a game in sports, I had 60 minutes to coach the kids to score more points than the other team. Otherwise, it was a loss. It was a finite loss. It went on our record as a loss. Whereas in business, you might take an L, but it's not going on a record somewhere. You have the opportunity the next day to go get another win. And the real goal is to stay in business, not to win business, right? Like there's no end. I would love for On the Ball to exist far beyond me and far beyond the next generation and the next generations. The goal is to stay in the game, not to win the game.
That was a fascinating. I bought the book right afterwards. Playing the Infinite Game, because there is no, so you hit goals, so you have a great year. It's not over. I think a lot of people were, really lazy getting into February, March, and then all of a sudden this hit and they were not prepared. They let their guard down. They got lazy. They weren't doing the things because the economy was so overblown that people took things for granted. I think the one thing you and I do, and the one thing that's so much fun to work, is that we have this accountability check. What'd you do? What happened today? How many of these, and it's been, equally as fun for me as I think it's been for you, because I'm so energized, because you are educating a whole layer of the population that would have had a harder time paying attention to me. I'm working with a little bit more mature. I'm working with senior level people who just got knocked in the head and said, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? I need to, do something. You're talking about it, to a generation that's really good using the tools. They just don't know the why.
They don't know why or how to do it the right way. And that was the real difference for me, I think, is and even Jake's generation, the generation below me, is that like we grew up with social media, but I never looked at it as a way to really build a business. I never really looked at it as a way to benefit myself and to maintain relationships. I just looked at it as something to play on. It was a place where you could find information and whatever. So that was the real difference, is when I started looking at it as this unbelievable tool to create value for not only myself, but everybody that I knew.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun. I think if your metric every day is how many friends can I meet, how many friends can I impact, it's really a simple metric that winds up, exposing who you are and what you are to so many more people. This platform is not about me. I'm not talking. I'm asking people questions, and there's 70 plus shows of people saying who they are, what they did. Marcy Scheinbaum, who was on last night, she sent me a video in tears. She was like, I'm so grateful for what you did. I got so many people that reached out, and and all I did was share my passion. I said, that's all I wanted you to do. I want you to show other people that they make it way too hard. Connect with what you love, and the rest takes care of itself. And me to you, brother, I love you.
I love you too, and happy Father's Day, and I can't wait to be together on Sunday.
Sunday, we'll have the entire Noodleberg crowd together. The following week, I turn 60. We'll have Senior Noodleberg coming in for that one on the boat. So lots of good stuff ahead, lots to be grateful for. Tune into the show every day at 4. We don't do it live, so we don't have to deal with the little lapses in technology. But there's a whole library full of stuff of people who have come on, have shared their goods, their stuff that's working for them. Take one kernel of it, put it into action the next day, and that is how you stay on the ball. Thank you. Love you.
Love you.